What's going on, you guys? So, more progress. Alright, in the last video where we left off on the build, we got the main parts of the cage all done, but I did have to cut that dash bar out with the pedal assembly and the steering column mount and all that stuff. So we've gotten a little bit of work done since then. So currently I'm working on the braces here for the door bars. So we're gonna have to do three braces like that, and a third one here, and then that's gonna come up to here. But you can also see we got the dash bar welded in and remounted the column and the pedal assembly. Doing the pedal assembly was actually not nearly as difficult this time because I actually had a couple friends come over and they actually gave me a hand on it. So one of the few times I've actually had somebody help me out with something on this. So my buddies Tyler Wittig and Mike Graham came over and they lended a hand with getting all that stuff mounted up. So right now I just have this Sparco wheel kind of mounted in here temporarily. Definitely going to be putting my grip royal wheel back in here, but having this in here for now just helps me get everything aligned. It's the same depth and offset as my grip royal, so it was a good test fit piece to get everything lined up and sit in the car, figure out where I needed the wheel to be, and then mount the pedal assembly. I also went ahead, mounted the gauge cluster up right behind the wheel so it's easy to see, because with how far back the dash sits, the line of sight to it, the wheel is actually right in the way, so putting it right there makes it a lot easier to see. And to do the mount, I basically just bent up a piece of tube, kind of got it angled the way I wanted it, welded up another piece right there to hold the column joint. With the bearing way closer to the wheel, the actual column is 10 times more stable than it was before on the last bar, so already cutting the old one out and redoing it made it way worth it already, just because of how much sturdier that is. Same thing with the pedal assembly. Having the pedal assembly actually mounted on the cage now, it's way sturdier. I do need to add some bracing to it still. So I had some large, I don't even know, I think this is like 3/16 steel that I had bent up, and I used that to make the mount brackets for it. Basically notched it out, welded it to the tube. My buddy held the assembly up while I marked it out and kind of drilled everything. But the positioning of it and everything is pretty spot on, right where I need it to be. I actually brought it a little bit closer than where it used to be. It used to be a little bit further back than that, but with the position it's in now, it's actually a really good seating position and leg position. This is actually adjustable height-wise too, so I can lower this and bring it up if I need to. So that's, you know, it's nice to have that adjustable. The brake assembly used to drag on the steering column too. Now it's over enough that it doesn't do that. So overall, redoing this dash bar fixed a lot of stuff for me. And having the gauge set up right there behind the wheel, it's nice and easy to see everything. Handbrake's right where I need it. Shifter's gonna be right where I need it. The only thing left to redo is the actual linkage that goes from the throttle to this pedal assembly. So I need to modify this. Basically what I'm going to do, mount this pedal assembly up here and then make a linkage that goes probably to about right here on the bracket, just to activate the pedal. Now, I know what you're thinking. You have this pedal. Why don't you just mount that pedal and use the actual pedal? And because this just looks a lot better, in my opinion. It matches. Aesthetically, I like it a lot more than a big plastic pedal. Now, was it worth the extra $200 and whatever I spent on that thing? That's a great question. Probably not, but aesthetically, it was worth it. I think it'll look a lot better. Now, unfortunately, I did move this far enough to the point where I am going to need to remake the clutch line to the firewall and the other brake line to the firewall. Not that big of a deal. I have plenty of brake line left over. The fittings used for this right here are actually reusable, so if you just cut the line, this all will just slide back off and I can just reflare it onto a new line, so at least they're reusable. So I'm not going to need to buy new fittings for that. I do need to mount the switches for the race pack dash somewhere, clean up a little bit of the wiring, but overall, I mean, it's coming along great. And then, you know, like I showed you before, we got the bars going in over there. We're gonna have one more and then a top one. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, the cage almost done. Ran into a couple bumps in the road, nothing crazy, but you know, making progress, moving along. As soon as the last bars are done on the cage, I'm gonna have to wait to actually fully weld it onto the base plates. I wanna get the base plates welded to the chassis. I'm probably gonna MIG weld the base plates to the chassis. It's always seemed to be an easier way to do that, just because some of the spots where the base plates are, they actually meet up against multiple pieces of chassis metal, and some of that has like seam sealer and stuff like that in between the chassis metal. And when you heat that up, that seam sealer can melt, pop, and it's just hard to keep TIG torch heat into that without, you know, having it blow apart, whereas a MIG welder is fast enough where you can actually MIG it up and it won't get the seam sealer to melt and expand and get all nasty. So MIG welding the base plates on is usually the cleanest way to do that for me. I've tried TIGging before and it's a real pain in the ass to do, so I'm just gonna MIG weld the base plates on. But that means I need to get a MIG welder. So I have a couple buddies that have them. Maybe I'll just borrow one from one of them and we'll go from there. But after the cage is completely done, we're gonna move on to doing the rear bash bar. Got a couple ideas of how I wanna do that. Fortunately, I do have enough material to do the bash bar, so we're gonna get the bare necessities that we wanna get done on the cage. So we're probably not gonna get the X-brace done. I'm gonna do the door bars, like I said, I'm gonna finish. And then after that, that's gonna be it for the cage for now. And then we're gonna do the rear bash bar because we need to do a bash bar. And if we have material left over after that, then we'll add additional bracing to the cage. So I mean, the progress we're making on this is good news, but it's also bad news, because the good news is we've made a lot of progress. You know, we've almost knocked off a huge milestone in the car, which is having the chassis completely prepped, ready to go. The bad news is I got it all done so fast that I didn't really have enough time to save enough money to get everything I need to build the engine. I mean, I saved up a couple grand, but that's gonna be basically a crankshaft and rods. So not enough to get the cam, machine work. Machining is gonna be like $1,500 in itself. You know, we're probably about $3,500 shy of having the engine built. And then obviously a bunch of other little things that'll need to get buttoned up, but moving along, making progress. Now we are still trying to get a merch store set up here, a couple shirt designs, stuff like that. So it's something else I'm working on to help try to fund the build and operation costs of this car. So I'm still working on that. There's just a lot going on right now. And, you know, still working on a couple designs. I got to get my LLC stuff all finished, and, you know, it's just that or this and that and this, and just bouncing around back and forth between the two. But I've been focusing more on this than getting all that stuff set up. But anyways, I'm rambling now, so I'm just trying to keep you guys updated what's going on. You know, cage progress coming along good. But that's gonna be it for this one. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you're new, follow the build along, and until the next one, I'll catch you guys later.